You're looking at learning how to code. You know, many people are making millions of dollars through software, and yet tons of software engineers and comp sci majors are losing their jobs. So, as you go into learning about software engineering, software development, you need to figure out what do you actually need to learn, what skills are outdated, and what skills are going to allow you to participate in making all of the money that's to be made in software, and what skills are going to leave you by the wayside while everybody else goes and makes all the money in this AI revolution. So let's hop into this video where I'm going to tell you exactly what you actually need to know in this era, how you can educate yourself so that you can take a part of the software money slice of pie, start making money, and not waste a bunch of time, effort, energy, resources, and money learning the wrong things. So this is the AI Accelerated Developer Roadmap. We're going to look at how do you become a developer in the age of AI, and how do you use AI to accelerate that path? So, the new education system. The old roadmap is outdated, ineffective, and impractical. The new roadmap is affordable, efficient, and up to date. We just need to make sure that we are getting a good return on our investment. So first off, university system is out. Mostly, universities are stuck to the old roadmap that trains you to be a programmer, and not efficient, and the systems are not efficient enough to keep you updated. All right, look, I studied at university. I graduated with electrical engineering, and I ended up with a software engineering job. It's pretty cool. University isn't terrible, but it's extremely expensive. It's very time consuming, and I'll be honest, a lot of what you learn in university is outdated. In the era of AI, and especially to be taking part in the money boom that is the AI revolution in software, you don't need to know how to like implement Shor's sorting algorithm or implement uh, depth first search versus breadth first search algorithms and use recursive or use whatever. You don't need to know exactly how to write the code for these algorithms. You do need to know how to code, but you don't need to know every algorithm. Instead, what you need to know is just the algorithms themselves, why you use them, when you use them. And the university system focuses a lot less on these overarching abstract um, methods or these abstract concepts, and does get into the nitty gritty of the code. Again, it's turning you into a programmer, which we've discussed in previous videos is not what you want to be. You don't want to become a programmer. Programmers are losing their jobs. LLMs do the job or the tasks of a programmer now. So university system, it's going to adapt, but it's going to take a long time before it does adapt. They're not going to be teaching you how to actually use all these AI tools. Instead, what should you be using? You should be using ProfessorGPT. Modern AI provides 24/7 one-on-one mentorship that's on par with, and honestly often better than what you would get from a professor. I almost dude I had some good professors. I had some great professors. I loved some of my professors, but generally speaking, I would get as good, if not better, information just by talking to Professor GPT. And obviously I'm talking about ChatGPT here. Um, Professor GPT isn't isn't I mean, it'll make mistakes, but professors make mistakes too. Um, but it's not going to be, it doesn't have any other responsibilities. It just takes care of you. It's your friend. It knows what you need. It adapts to you over time, and you just need to know how to prompt it properly so that it will teach you the concepts instead of just giving you the code. Again, eventually you do want to learn how to use AI to generate software, to generate code, and how to do that accurately and not generate bad code. But earlier on, you want to use AI to teach you the core concepts of programming, teach you why do you use depth first search versus breadth first search, what software tools exist on the internet to perform certain tasks in industry, how do recursive functions work. Explain this to me. It's a very, very useful tool, and it can create entire curriculums for you. And you essentially do this just by saying, like, hey, Mr. ChatGPT, pretend you are my professor. Don't give me answers. Guide me through these questions and teach me these concepts, blah, blah, blah. Um, and then you also have YouTube University, as we like to call it. Again, I I would often skip class and just watch YouTube videos, and I would go and do better on exams than some of my peers who went to every class. The reason is because, and some of my professors, really good professors, I'd show up, I'd, I'd engage in their lecture, I would take notes, but a lot of my professors, I'm sure many engineers will relate to this, can barely speak English. And so I go and I'm just trying to figure out what the hell this guy is saying. That's sometimes true on YouTube, but you have captions. Anyway, point is, almost all the topics that you'll see in university, there are YouTube videos for these. These YouTube videos are the best explanations that you can find on the internet, not just the best explanations that you can find in this one classroom. And oftentimes, Stanford will post a bunch of their lectures on there. Those are probably better than the lectures you're getting at Chico. Anyway, point is, you can, let's see what my note says here. All of the knowledge you could need is in this one place. The truth is, live lectures feel more like mediocre YouTube videos. Mediocre, man, I've got a lot of typos in here. Anyway, point is, yeah, we made this joke often. We would go to class and be like, damn, dude, like, this is literally just like a mediocre YouTube video. And then I'd go to class, I'd go home, I'd be confused. I'd find a great YouTube video, I'd send it to all my friends. And they're like, oh, dude, like, this is so simple. This is such of a simple concept, but the professors make it seem so complicated. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that you can get all the education you need to be a software engineer within a couple of months. University is good for the fact that it's accredited and it comes with clout when you put it on a resume that you have this degree. But the information that you're actually getting from university, you can get from ProfessorGPT and YouTube University. So it will kind of depend on your goals. But let's talk about how you actually use ProfessorGPT to learn all these concepts. And even if you're going to university, this will be helpful. A good teacher teaches you differently at different stages of learning. Somebody probably said this. I don't know. If nobody said this, then I just made this up. But it's a useful quote for what I'm trying to say. All right. I have this whole fucking metaphor that I've come up with. I don't know where it came from. My mind somewhere, but we're going to run with it. All right. Code virgin. Don't be drunk when you lose your virginity. Look, you still need to know how to code. You don't need to know how to code everything. You don't necessarily need to be good at every language, but you do need to understand the fundamentals of how code works. There's a reason we still teach people binary. It's helpful to understand what the zeros and ones represent, why they're there, how computers work underneath all of this abstraction. Now, LLMs are going to do a lot of our coding, but we still need to be able to look at a bunch of code and go in and change one or two things. If you don't know how code works, and that's a pretty big knowledge base, but if you don't know how code works, you could spend hours debugging something that would take 10 minutes if you knew how code works. And you just look at it, oh, I just got to change this little guy. So don't be drunk when you lose your virginity. Don't use Professor GPT when you are first learning how to code. I was lucky in that I came to coding before coding was before LLMs were even a thing. So I had to kind of go through the rigor of understanding the underlying mechanisms of code, how it works, and getting those mental paradigms set into place. You'll waste a lot of time dealing with a lot of stupid shit. Do it. It's helpful. Step 2, become a virgin among whores. You start trying some new things, but you're still learning. So at this point, you can use ChatGPT a little bit. This is where you start to prompt it and you say, hey, guide me through these concepts. Again, for step 1, practical example of how to do this. You can go to university, or there are so many online courses that teach the introductory concepts. CS50 is a very solid go-to. It's by Harvard. It's posted online. You can get a certificate, and it's pretty well respected. You can also go onto Coursera, where you have entire master's degrees that you can get. You can go through the content of and take notes on and do the assignments published to this website by actual universities that hand out degrees. And if you go through one of these curriculums and you pay them a bunch of money, they'll actually give you the degree. But it's like you can then just go through it at your own pace and then pay for the accreditation on the other side. And it generally costs about $10,000 to $15,000 if you do. At least Boulders does. That's the one I've looked at most. But let's talk about how you're going to use Professor GPT to learn you some programming knowledge. These are our rules. One, never copy and paste code. Explain your code instead. This is super important. You are trying to get ChatGPT to explain concepts for you. And if you want to be a software engineer, you need to be able to explain how you want your code to work and how code does work. And especially as you use AI to generate software in the future, you need to be able to explain to the AI your plan for how the code is going to work. So, being able to articulate code, being able to use that kind of lingo is very important. You also start to learn how to interact with these models, with these LLMs, being able to, it's all prompt engineering, being able to prompt an AI is one of the most useful skills you can have in this era. And it's very well developed by sitting there and not copying and pasting your code, but saying, like, hey, my code works like this. It's taking in these arguments and then it does these things and then it outputs this. Instead of telling it do XYZ, you ask it, how would I do XYZ? And then it's going to explain it to you. Teach me the skills I need to know to do XYZ. A lot of times that will create a little mini curriculum and it'll walk you through the underlying concepts of some task that you want to learn how to do. Explanations. Explain how, or this should say examples. Explain how Lambda functions work in Python. Then take notes on that and then use your notes to write your own Lambda functions. Ask why. Why does the 123 dot map parse int return this? Debug support. Why is my function returning undefined? Code examples. Show a simple REST API in Node.js. This is super helpful for just like learning how syntax works, learning what code looks like, and kind of expediting that syntax gap. Code feedback. Give me a grade based on the quality of this code. What can I improve? What best practices or design patterns would be beneficial and why? And finally, generate assignments. Give me an exam, an assignment, or a project for the following topics. Anyway, so Code Virgin, take some kind of introductory online course. Step 2, Virgin Among Whores. Start building out your own practice projects, but with these practice projects, you aren't having AI generate the code for your practice projects. Instead, you're writing every line of code, but you're having AI explain the underlying concepts that you need to know in order to write that code, right? You're still learning. You're a virgin among whores. You have some experience, enough experience to write some code, but now you're experienced enough to start experimenting with AI a little bit. And then now you're a whole ass whore, which is pretty cool. I spelled. I have so many typos in this. Anyway, you know now at this point you know what you're doing. You can start telling it what to do. At this point, you should be experienced enough where any function you wanted to write, you could just write it on your own. You could go onto the internet, look up documentation. You could go to ChatGPT and say like, "Hey, what is the syntax for this?" Or explain how this framework works and show me what like commands I would use. And at this point, instead of copy pasting or instead of having ChatGPT walk you through it, you should feel comfortable enough to just say like, hey, ChatGPT, write me a function that exports this data as a pandas data frame and then aggregate it with this data frame or filter it and sort it this way and that way. And then it'll generate the code and then you can look at it and you can either tell it like, okay, put it into a function with these arguments, or you can just copy paste it and then create those function arguments yourself. You can validate it simply by looking at it. Anyway, that is the path for learning how to code in the era of AI. This is how you're essentially going to go from somebody who doesn't know how to code, either through university. You can use this path if you're in university, or without going through university. But you're essentially, your goal is to get yourself to somewhere where you are a competent programmer, whether you have you're a competent programmer that knows how to utilize AI to expedite your workflow, but is also capable of working independent of AI. That's going to make you very valuable people are going to want to hire you, or you're going to be capable of building products that will sell like crazy. Anyway, thank you. In future video, we'll talk about how you actually get a job in the era of AI. Do you need a degree? What skills are the most useful? Blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Anyway, farewell. Thank you. Have a good day.